Hi, readers. It's Lori. Welcome back to my channel, Books, Ink, and Paper, or welcome if this is your first time here. And today I wanted to bring forward some books about mental health because it is, for some people, Mental Health May. Also, for me, I've recently disclosed to all of you that my mental health was shifting and had sort of slowly done that over a period of time. I think it probably really started a while ago, but it just continued to increase and increase. And in particular, my anxiety and my inability to sort of be mindful about that and to change and shift that. I also think that being ill didn't help. It also caused me to, like, my blood sugar elevated. And so I've noticed, like, this morning, finally, after I think 2 weeks now, not quite 2 weeks of taking some medication to support that anxiety issue, I feel much better and my blood sugar is much lower. So our whole bodies really do respond to some level of mental health trauma or mental health shifts, if you will. They don't even have to be traumatic. I've also been noticing a pattern of people talking about, both here on YouTube and on social media platforms other than YouTube, but also with my clients and with students that I support. There's a lot of overwhelm in the space of thought and thinking and being able to process and remember and feel like you're getting things done. And there's definitely something in the air. I think I said that in another video, or in the planetary system, that people are feeling incredibly overwhelmed and just really not happy with things that are existing for them. A lot of my comments from readers have been that they haven't been able to focus as much, that they can't any longer focus on this kind of book or that kind of book. I'm noticing that my usual pattern of reading 3 books at a time is maybe not working for me at the moment as much as it used to. And yeah, there's just a lot of stuff. And it's probably the causation of it is different for everybody, but also similar, probably. And what can we do about it is the question. Since I went to see this doctor that's new to me, but was really incredibly helpful the other day, I've been considering some of the other things that she was mentioning and inquiring about. And I've also been considering beyond that, like what are the things that I can add to my life that will really make a difference or make an impact and will bring me back to myself, to a more grounded, centered version of myself. So I can definitely sense that the anxiety is much better. I also can sense that I have a little bit more drive to do things and to get things done, a little bit more energy, which is also good. There are some habits that I had before and am not engaging in now. So I just thought about what would be helpful, what would be useful to me. And in saying that, I also thought about, then if these are helpful to me, maybe they're going to be helpful and useful to some of you too. I'm well aware this video may not be for everyone, and so that's fine. You can step out and nothing terrible will happen. We'll still be friends and we'll still talk about other books and other things in the future. So I do want to acknowledge that not every video is going to resonate with everybody, and sometimes I can tell that by the likes, or the lack of likes. Yeah, we're going to be partners no matter what. But today we're going to talk about a few books that I have read and a couple that I haven't that might be useful. So the first one on the list is the smallest one. So that's Listening Below the Noise by Anne D. LeClaire. I've had this one for quite some time. In fact, it's even a little bit yellowed, which surprises me sometimes when that happens because I haven't had it that long. And I'm trying to remember or look up when this one came out, but it's been some time. I think it may have been self-published because no, it's a Harper Perennial, but there's no copyright info here that I can find. So that's interesting. Anne LeClaire is a reporter. She was a radio broadcaster, and she also had a moment where she decided she needed more silence in her life. And so she takes 2 silent days a month, or at least did at the time she was writing this. And I remember picking this up and realizing that this was really valuable. And so years ago, I did actually do a silent day or a predominantly silent day, depending on what was happening, in my life. It's not easy to do a silent day. I have noticed, though, that a day for me, I'm satisfied with if it's 8 hours, for example, or if it's a half day, or even if it's a few hours at one time. But what it does is it transforms your ability to sometimes clear the clutter because you're more mindful of what's happening internally than you are what's happening externally, which is really kind of the whole point. So she detaches herself from the bustle of her hectic lifestyle and learns to listen to her deepest self and finds a center from which to live, one that tests, strengthens, and heals her. And that's really how this felt. It definitely did make an impact on me. And I'm noticing that besides silence, I used to do an unplugged day each month. And my partner and I were talking about this the other day. It's time to detach a bit from our phones and to go back to those silent phone days as well. And not just phones, the TV, the radio, the anything. Like the only thing we allowed ourselves to do was to drive somewhere if we wanted to do that, but we unplugged from anything electronic. So I'm really considering how to get back in that habit as well. So it's kind of related to that. The next one is the 10th anniversary version, although I had read the other one before and didn't keep it. Wherever You Go, There You Are by Jon Kabat-Zinn. This is a book about mindfulness and really understanding that mindfulness and meditation practices do not mean that you can reduce all of the thoughts and feelings that you're experiencing during meditation because you're still there. Wherever you go, you are still there. So what I loved about this was the names of the chapters and really just kind of how he explained this and really went into detail about meditation because people would think it was something other than what it was. So one chapter is called Keeping It Simple. One is called Meditation, not to be confused with positive thinking, because you may not have positive thoughts when you quiet your mind in different ways. Dignity, taking your seat. One of my favorite chapters is called Cleaning the Stove While Listening to Bobby McFerrin. I don't want to give away too much about it, but I can say that it was very clever. He says, I use a scrubber, which is abrasive enough to get the caked food off if I rub hard enough with baking soda, but not so abrasive that I scratch the finish. And then he describes how he scrubs the stove. But when you think about it, when you're cleaning, it can be a meditative experience. And I will say that that is true for me. And I notice what's different if I vacuum without my headphones in and listening to an audiobook, or if I vacuum with the audiobook in my head. So I'm being more mindful of those kinds of choices too, because sometimes I just feel like, again, what I've talked about recently, how much is enough? Like, do I need to multitask while I'm vacuuming? Do I need to bring in 10 bags of groceries at one time from the trunk? No. All right, this is one I haven't read. This is The Joy Diet by Martha Beck, 10 Daily Practices for a Happier Life. It's a short one, which I appreciate. I might get to this very, very soon because I am, trying to obviously elevate to a level of higher joy. Martha Beck is a coach. She's not a coach in the same certification or accreditation space that I am, but she's definitely been trained in some way over time. And she says this is a recipe for happiness and a menu for feeding your soul, which feels like something I really need to do at the moment. So there are different places in this the 10 daily practices that she really focuses on. And they're really also all aligned with these words: truth, desire, creativity, risk, and play. So I really loved that. And this one's been out for a while as well. I've had it for a bit. It's also yellowing a little bit. I wonder if it's the bookcase that they're in. This came out in 2003. I just love these chapters. Here's the chapters. The introduction to the book: nothing, truth, desire, creativity, risk, treats, play, laughter, connection, feasting. I might get to this sooner than anticipated. I had looked at it this year and thought this might be a good one for me because I've been experiencing some ups and downs ever since the beginning of the year. I mean, it's really been since I got really super sick. But again, some of this anxiety increase has happened way back last year as well. But I think this would be good. And I like the name of this, the Joy Diet. It sounds like, a good practice for me to take. This one I didn't finish, but I started to read it with a coach friend of mine, and we just weren't able to both complete it. There were some things that got in the way for both of us. We were working similarly at that time, and we were both experiencing the same kinds of situations. And so we just did not finish it. We agreed to stop. But this came out I'm pretty sure I know, it came out in Britain in 1999. And I think I read this in 2017, maybe. It's been a while now, maybe 2016. Yeah. So this one is very popular in corporations, ironically. Corporations often do have these kinds of self-support and book clubs and those kinds of things. I know a lot of them do because I have clients that work within them, and they really do encourage you as a leader in their organization to really take care of yourself, which I think is great. And so this one has been really popular in that space. But there are 10 behaviors that Nancy Klein identifies that form a system called a thinking environment, which is human interaction that dramatically improves the way people think and then thus the way they work and live. So does living carefully with habits that you eat differently or whatever, does that help? Yes. Does exercise help? Yes. Does working in a job you love help? Yes. But also your mindset, your way of thinking, your framework is really the important thing. So the quality of people's attention for each other is the core of this method. I would like to get back to this at some point. I could go with, kind of reading a chapter a week or a chapter a month and just kind of see how long it takes me to finish that. But that would be a good one, I think, for me and maybe for some of you too. Listening to ignite the human mind. Yes, we need to ignite a lot of things. But it also has a CD, which has a mindful guided meditation process in it. So that's important. But this is the Mindfulness and Acceptance Workbook for Anxiety, which obviously I bought a number of years ago, but because my anxiety has been present in my life for a long time. This was published in 2007, and I remember buying this back when I still worked for someone else. So it's been on my shelves for a long, long time. I haven't revisited it in a while, but I did really enjoy this. I did go through a lot of these prompts and I did really answer a lot of these questions. So it really is a workbook. It does have some little cartoony kinds of things, and it does have a lot of information about, and I underlined some things. I wrote some little notes in it. I don't do that very often, but in this case, I really did. This really is and was a workbook for me. It wouldn't hurt to go through this again. And this one says it helps you to understand why trying to control anxiety can keep you stuck and suffering. It helps you to understand breaking free from the anxiety struggle and the trap of avoidance, practicing mindful acceptance and a willingness to do what works, which is what I'm noticing now for myself, discovering what you care deeply about and committing to make it happen, and living a rich and meaningful life, even when you still have anxiety, fear, and worry, which is the thing. You have to learn how to be with it, because it's not necessarily going to miraculously go away, especially if you have a family history, as I do, of mental health challenges, and including anxiety and obsessive compulsive behaviors and significant depression for one of my grandparents, really just a possible bipolar disorder that went undiagnosed for another one of my grandparents. And so, luckily, I'm just looking at some anxiety, and it runs from the gamut from mild to major, but it is definitely manageable at points in my life. And I could go into a deeper, darker place if I really don't manage it. So that for me was one of the reasons why I got this, and one of the reasons why it might be time for me to go through it again. I don't think I broke the seal. Yeah, no, I did. So I might have listened to this CD because I did break the seal, but it's hard to listen to CDs now because I have to dig out an adapter to hook up to my laptop with another adapter, and it's just, yeah, it's a little bit of a mess. But there's lots of other resources online too. I remember there was kind of a glossary of those internet resources and other books, references, reading, and internet resources at the end. So if this is something that you think might be helpful to you, I would recommend this one. So the ones I have participated in some way, did not go through every exercise in this, but I did a significant number of them. Didn't finish this, but went through a good bit of it. Haven't read this at all. Read this and really loved it. Read this a long time ago and really loved it, and would like to get back to some of it as well. Again, these are something that you could sort of do when you just have a minute. They're short chapters in most cases. They're uplifting, especially if you're having a moment where you're really struggling. Just reading a little bit is a form of mindfulness if you think about it. So it is a way for you to kind of reset a bit, which resetting videos are everywhere. I have been noticing people are, again, experiencing a lot of the same things as I am, and maybe some of you are. People are also feeling overwhelmed. I've used the word overwhelmed more in the last 6 months than I have maybe in my whole last 5 years, feeling like we're overly taxed with things to do, or we just don't have the initiative to do them, needing to clear out some things and purge some things, which I've been noticing as well. Books are being purged, clothes are being purged, files are going to be purged. That's a big project for me. So there's a lot happening there as well. Another thing I wanted to mention to you is if you are struggling with your momentum and you really are wanting something to hold you accountable for finishing something or starting something, releasing something, whatever it might be. My friend Kat at Kat's Novel Adventures has a Saturday morning event, and it is all around creating some space for you to decide what you want momentum around and spend that time in the quiet on YouTube, much like a sprint, focusing on what you want the momentum for. And you can pick absolutely anything. The first week, I think this is maybe her 10th week, maybe a little bit more. The first week, I focused on finishing my bookkeeping process for my taxes so I could send everything to my accountant. And that was my main focus. And then after that, I said, I need to do this quarterly. So one of my quarterly weeks on Saturday morning will be to keep up with this so I don't end up in the same space I have done every year for the past several. Also, I have worked on my book journal and really kind of gotten caught up on that, which has been a nice space. You have a nice long period of time. She comes in, introduces herself and whoever she has co-hosting. She then helps you to understand, share with and understand what it is that you want to work on for that particular day, and then off you go. One day I did bookish inventory. I just scanned a bunch of my books on the shelves and got them into my app so I know what I have and I don't buy the same book twice. I've been able to do a number of things in these Saturday morning events, and I really have enjoyed them. One Saturday I just cleaned because I needed to clean, and I took the time to be able to do that. So I highly encourage you, if you haven't already, check out Kat's Novel Adventures and check out those momentum videos. They're all recorded too, so you can go back and watch the old ones. So if you need momentum on a Wednesday night instead of a Saturday morning, You can just pop in and watch the recording and then listen to what other people worked on as well. There are some great recommendations from people around ways in which to stay focused and ways in which to plan and get ahead and to get caught up, all those kinds of things. But I will tell you that most of us who are on that call are there for a reason, because we're feeling like we have some things we need to tend to. And that gives us the momentum to be able to do that. So I highly recommend that. I'll link Kat's channel in the description box below so you can take a look at it if you haven't already. And if you are a subscriber of Kat's but you haven't joined the Momentum event yet, I highly recommend it. She's a gem. She really, really is. Okay, guys, thanks for watching today. I really had a good time bringing these books to you, and I hope that you enjoyed them as well. And again, if you're struggling, do reach out for help, professional help if needed. It sometimes catches up on us before we realize that we've kind of hit a plateau, and so don't let that happen. Take good care of yourself. Support others when you notice that they need to be taking care of themselves too, in whatever way you can. And as always, happy reading. Bye.